Yeah, yeah. I have been sleeping under a rock, apparently, and as someone who has all these records and had no idea about the rhythm section of this band, his involvement of this band. I'll get to the names later. Yeah, let's not much cold opening, but I don't care. Let's stop dollydagging and get into it, ladies and gentlemen. The Messthetics and James Brandon Lewis. So, the James Brandon Lewis is essentially a saxophone player slash jazz composer. I guess must have been made his rounds in the jazz community. I guess, I believe, over the past decade maybe or so. I don't know if it's more than that or not because I'm not as huge of a jazz enthusiast. I I like jazz sometimes. I like it more when it's in the things I like rock and metal and stuff like that. And in this case, also punk. And comes the Messthetics. Now, if it wasn't very clear from what I just showed in my opening, yeah, I'm a bit of a Fugazi fan. And for those who don't know, I believe the drummer and whatnot are, and bass player, which are, I believe, oh, for fuck's sake, I thought I picked the wrong one, I guess. Are Joe Lally and Brendan Canty, I believe. Leave. Unless it's Guy Picciotto, but I think Guy Picciotto was the. Unless I'm confusing Diane, I probably am. I know Ian McCanty's not involved in this, though. He did have an involvement in this band in the sense of signing them to his label, or at least beating John Zorn to the punch for his label. However, they're not on Discord. Discord for this release, they're on Impulse, if the cover didn't make that very clear. But yes, this was a collab project between these two artists, and wow, someone who's not huge on jazz, this is pretty damn good, and you can definitely tell that they are actually gelling well together for the most part. Even though most of it seems like your more basic jazz compositions, the novelty has become. But then there's other moments where the punk comes into play from the Messthetics, and or at least a good blend of jazz, what jazz and punk is and can be, especially this particular style of jazz punk that is essentially taking from jazz fusion, free jazz, avant-garde jazz, as well as some of the more post-punk no wave movement elements of genres of punk rock, and just kind of making that a blend thing. And the track I just played a little hint of, That Thing, was one of the better, more energetic cuts that also had some moments on it, guitar-wise at least, so it was really, really good. James Brandon Lewis's sax playing is definitely top tier for sure. My other favorites from them is The Time is the Place, the final track, Emergence, That Thing, and the closing track, Fourth Wall. LaRosa's okay. But either way, of the pieces, that thing is the one that really like hits pretty damn good. And I think there's some like fuzzy guitars here and there that this guitarist of this band kind of does. me see if there's a thing on Messthetics. Yes, yep, that was right. It's the instrumental formed by former Fugazi members bassist Joe Lally and drummer Brendan McKenty with guitarist Anthony Pirog. The music has been described as jazz punk jam, and that's kind of, I do say there is a very jammy kind of improvisational thing going on here, but it's clear their style is very jazz punk and oriented per se. And yeah. Yeah, that thing and Emergence are the ones that are definitely the bigger songs so far on this thing, though it seems also Three Sisters and Butley are apparently huge. Or some of the songs from that. But even though I think people need to give Fourth Wall a little bit of another chance, because that's some good shit, and The Time Is the Place is really good too. But yes, I've been a Fugazi fan, and yet I had no idea about this until I looked it up while I was on Wikipedia just surfing, and while I was kind of doing my thing with trying to upload all this other stuff and just figure out what's next out there. And yes, I go to Wikipedia sometimes. You probably need to go to like Metal Archives or other things, for sure. I was in Punk Archives for sure. But yeah, I loved this thing. Pretty much. I feel like if you are been wondering what happened with some of the members of the not so well noted half compared to Guy and Ian in Fugazi, what they've been up to and shit, this is something to check out on if you've been sleeping on that rhythm section, which they've proven in Fugazi for sure on some of their instrumental stuff, especially as far back as Repeater, and I think more so Repeater and like Three Songs EP, which you kind of get together actually. So, yeah, those instrumentals are always fun, and they've kind of shown that even with Fugazi they were going in a jazzier direction, and I think they decided to get more work doing jazz than doing punk shit, I guess, or finding a mix of both, and it works, I think, for what this is. It's most instrumental, so there's not too much to say other than hey, yeah. For those of you who are Fugazi fans, and didn't know about this band like I did, please check out the Messthetics. But also, probably, I guess, after this, I might want to give James Brandon Lewis a shot, too, at some point. If I really feel more enthusiastic about jazz. But this is definitely in the more jazz lane, but there's still some punky elements here and there, especially in how they approach in terms of the somewhat DIY aesthetic to free improvisation. So it does make me want to check out their previous stuff and give that a shot too. So yeah. Sorry, Clay. Forgive me, but yeah, because my yawning has nothing to do with this album, because this album is fucking awesome. And I think you should give this thing a shot if you're feeling jazzy, I guess you could say. Yeah. But what did you guys think of the Messthetics and James Brandon Lewis collab album? Did y'all like it at all? Do you think it's the best work between the two of them? Do you think it's not that, or if it's not your thing, or what? Or leave a comment below, let me know, guys. And as always, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. Here on Rockin' Movies with Tyler. I'm Tyler, and take care, y'all.